This video contains elements that are not suitable for children under the age of 14. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, Thomas!
Whistled Percy.
I hope you're excited for Zack's next episode of SODORAMA!
Yes, I am.
Chuff Thomas.
The last season of the classic series?
But I thought Series 24 was the last season!
The classic series refers to the first 7 seasons,
said Bertie.
We still have 17 more seasons to go. This marathon is far from over.
You're right, Thomas. But before we talk about Season 7 as a whole, let's play the intro. Henson International Productions, more commonly known as Hit Entertainment, was originally established in 1982 by Jim Henson, yes, that Jim Henson, as the international distribution arm of Jim Henson Productions. Through Hit, they were able to co-produce Henson's latest project at the time, Fraggle Rock, in London alongside the now-defunct Television South. Fast forward 20 years later, and Hit Entertainment had acquired the rights to Thomas's Tank Engine brand with the intent on making it more, let's call it kid-friendly, shall we? This meant that Series 7 would be the last for several key members of the production crew, including Britt Allcroft, now acting as creative consultant, David Mitton for his last series as director, Robert Galliers as art director, and Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell as music composers. Although the latter two had expressed interest in returning for Series 8, they were turned away in favor of Robert Hartshorn and Ed Welch. So did those 5 Thomas production veterans end their time with the Little Blue Tank Engine on a high note? Well, yes and no. Obviously, Series 7 does not hold a candle to the first Free series. Rewatching it, I honestly never expected it to, but it does have its own merits and can stand up on its own. Probably the first point of contention is the episode order. Just taking a look at the order on the complete Series 7 DVD for the UK, which was based upon production order, it's really messy and disorganized. For example, Emily's New Coaches is the 18th episode on the DVD, but episodes featuring her, such as What's the Matter with Henry, Bulgy Rides Again, and Salty Stormy Tale, all come before it. Likewise, The Spotless Record comes after Bill, Ben, and Fergus, and the former is meant to be Arthur's debut story. Meanwhile, the Australian release and any digital release of Season 7 has them in the original airing order, but even that's got its issues as well. Along with the aforementioned continuity error with The Spotless Record and Bill, Ben, and Fergus, we have Something Fishy airing before Peace and Quiet and Gordon and Spencer, Murdoch and Spencer's respective debut stories. I think that if you really want a proper viewing experience with Series 7, you have to look more carefully at the little details as to which episodes feature any of the series newbies. I think a proper order could be as follows, and I'll let you fill in the gaps from here. Or you can just watch their respective debuts first, a la New Friends with Thomas, before going into the rest. Whatever works for you. And while we're on the topic of production for Series 7, this series contained a lot of stock footage from the previous 6. It's very obvious since in Toby's Windmill and Bulgy Rides Again, Peter Sam has his old funnel, and in Not So Hasty Puddings, Henry's in his old shape. It's worth noting that while Series 7 was being filmed, so was Jack in the Pack spinoff. At least, half of the planned episodes were. It's actually very amazing that they managed to do both at the same time as each other. For example, with A Visit from Thomas, it was filmed alongside Free Cheers for Thomas as you can see Miss Jenny at Mayfleet Station waving on the platform. Series 7 was the first season to officially feature Michael Brandon as the narrator for the American market, and he would continue this role all the way up to Series 16. It's gonna be a long one, folks, believe me. But what do I think of Brandon as a narrator? Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say he was bad, per se. I think it was the writing of Series 8 through 16 that didn't do him much justice. Brandon was trying to make bad stories entertaining, which is an inevitable task for anyone to try and accomplish. To give credit where it's due, he tried, and Michael Brandon is a narrator whom I respect, not only for staying as long as he did, not as long as Angelus, but still, but also for making the most of a tough situation. Then there's Michaelangelus. His narration was pretty solid overall, but compared to series 3 through 6, he had lost a bit of energy that he had in the 90s, probably due to his roles as James and Percy being taken over for Magic Railroad by Susan Roman and Linda Ballantine respectively. Don't get me started on James's Magic Railroad voice.
You weren't concentrating, Thomas. Lucky for you that the buffers were there. I was naughty and Sir Topham Hatt told me to think about all the ways I can be really useful. Then I can come out again.
Nothing against Susan Roman, but she's no Rob Rackstraw.
Wobbly wheels.
I'm genuinely amazed that Angelus returned to the show despite being replaced in the movie, unlike John Bellis as the original voice for Thomas and Doug Lennox as P.T. Boomer, both of whom had an amazing opportunity that was so cruelly taken away from them.
Hold up, Zach. Can I please say a few bits on what I think of Season 7?
Matthew... Fine. Go ahead, but don't expect this to be a recurring thing.
Yes! Now then. I've been waiting to say my piece about this season. Despite it being the last of the classic era before the start of an absolutely horrible era, along with being heavy on stock footage as Zach has mentioned, I absolutely love this season! First of all, it introduced my biggest fictional character crush of all in Emily, and also a narrator for the US dub who, despite not being the best of the whole show, gave another character a really good voice to the point in many audio dramas I try to replicate it. Here's who it is.
Not like that, Snap Fergus. Do it right. Don't interfere, sneered Diesel. Not anymore. Sir Topham Hatt says I'm better than you, so I'm going to stay here.
That's right, Michael Brandon's best character voice is Diesel. Now then, it's no secret that Emily's new coaches, What's the Matter with Henry, and Salty Stormy Tale each are among my top 3 favorite episodes from the season, and the reasons are simple. They are Emily, Emily, Emily! She was at her absolute best in those episodes, and nobody can convince me otherwise. Unless we are talking about her appearance in Tale of the Brave, since her minor role in that special was easily the finest moment for her character yet. Did I also mention I love her Season 7 theme? I didn't? Well, now you all know. Sadly, the adoration didn't last for very long, as the next season will show why I say that. Now for the other newbies. I like Murdoch and Arthur, but Fergus, I don't really care much for him, but I don't hate him either. Spencer, on the other hand, I think he's an alright new character. I wasn't initially too big on him, but I grew to like him in the CGI era. It helps that he reminds me a bit of Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, Zach, I'm done.
Thank you for your guest appearance. Now do me a favor and buzz off so I can do the review in peace. Anyway, as I was saying, as I said in my review for Series 3, my first exposure to Michelangelos was through the American VHS New Friends for Thomas, in which he did 4 of the 5 introductory episodes of Series 7, as well as the pack episodes from Series 6. I liked his narration then, and I still do to this day. I then became even more familiar with his narration when Series 10 was posted on YouTube, but it was pretty clear to even then that he didn't have the energy from Series 3 to 7. Angelus was a severely undervalued narrator. Most of the other narrators are A-list celebrities in their own right. Ringo Starr was part of the Beatles and had a successful solo career that lasted 50 years over 20 albums. George Carlin was a comedian, and Alec Baldwin and Pierce Brosnan are pretty big in Hollywood. Even Michael Brandon and Mark Morahan had more significance than Angelus did, which is a crying shame. Oh, and in case anyone is wondering, for the next several episodes, I won't be bringing up the narrations of the 2 Michaels that much, but I will say that Angelus sounds a bit more tired as it progresses, and Brandon continued doing his best despite the awful writing. They got seriously overused during Series 13 to 16, and I dread when the time comes that I have to revisit them. When Michael Brandon's narrations were released on VHS and DVD in America, the original music of Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell was replaced by that of Robert Hartshorn, with 3 exceptions being Harold and the Flying Horse, Bulgy Rides Again, and Salty Stormy Tale, all from Thomas and the Jet Engine, presumably to be more consistent with the Series 6 episodes. I'm sure there's an official dub somewhere with Brandon's narration and the original Series 7 music for every episode, but we can only dream of what might be. As explained, the music was also recomposed for a few episodes of Series 6 when Vat and the Seventh were aired alongside Series 8 and 9, both for the US and the UK. In the case of Series 7, most of the episodes were given new themes by Robert Hartshorn, and while Renace and the Roller Coaster had Hartshorn's score on the UK DVD Bumper Party Collection, the remaining 5 episodes still have the original themes by Mike and Junior, so who knows if Robert composed new music for those episodes. When it comes to writing quality, Series 7 is about the same as Series 6, although it is marginally better. I mean, I don't think there's an episode here that's downright awful like Middle Engine. There are bad episodes, of course, but they're mostly inoffensive and I can just shrug them off. There's a fair number of gems in this series, like Emily's New Coaches, The Refreshment Ladies Tea Shop, Best Dressed Engine, Gordon and Spencer, and the final episode of the classic series, Free Cheers for Thomas. And what a fitting finale it was to call back to one of the best episodes of the first series as well. I hadn't seen much of Series 7 as a kid, likely due to interest in newer episodes from Series 9 and 10. Hey, I was a preteen at the time, so could you really blame me there? As an adult, I can appreciate Series 7, warts and all, and say that like Series 6 before it, it's pretty underappreciated by a lot of fans, but not forgotten. So let's talk about the classic series as a whole. Was it perfect? No, there are episodes that haven't aged very well, and there are some that the more I think about, the more I dislike them, and then there's others that were better than I remember. But I wouldn't say the classic series as a whole is the best period of the show's history. I think that's a bit of an overstatement, especially since Birdall-Croft made a lot of stupid decisions, mostly in the 90s, and ended up being the indirect catalyst to where the series is at right now. So the classic series as a whole is something that I respect a lot more than I love. My top 10 favorites for that era are as follows. Number 10, Escape, for its intensity and character moments. Number 9, Something in the Air, for having a classic Audrey vibe. Number 8, Thomas and the Breakdown Train, for bringing Thomas's first character arc to a fantastic close. Number 7, Fish, for having one of the best actions of the show, music and all. Number 6, James and the Red Balloon, for the sheer beauty of its music. Number 5, Gordon and Spencer, for giving Gordon a bit more depth and bringing a good character in Spencer. Number 4, Edward's Exploit, for being peak Edward. Number 3, All at Sea, for expanding upon Duck's character and that beautiful end shot. Number 2, Ghost Train, for its atmosphere and spooky vibe. And number 1, Thomas and Birdie, for so many iconic moments such as Thomas and Birdie's first ever race together. And now for my top 10 least favorites, and I imagine that's going to be a controversial list for sure. Number 10, The Trouble with Bud, for being a messy, pointless adaptation. Number 9, Rusty Saves the Day, for a lack of continuity and consistency and the misleading title. Number 8, What's the Matter with Henry, for having a weak conflict and feeling mandated just to give Henry a lead role. Number 7, The Sad Story of Henry, for showing what Audrey really thought about Henry, even back then, and its lack of action. Number 6, Toby's Discovery, for marking the beginning of Toby's wimpy personality that would haunt him in the Miller era. Number 5, A Bad Day for Sir Handel, for being a sloppy, disjointed adaptation and pointless reintroduction to the narrow gauge engines. Number 4, Paint Pots and Queens, for coming in 11 years too late. Number 3, Snow, for treating avalanches like they're a joke. Number 2, Middle Engine, for feeling like a massive hate letter towards Percy. And number 1, Rusty to the Rescue, for showing just how little Birdall-Croft cared about Audrey's creation. Well, that's gonna do it for 2020. Thank goodness that awful year will be coming to an end soon. I'm Zach, you're watching SODORAMA, and for now, I wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopes to agile hoverboards and flying cars in the future, even if they're 6 years late. Starting January 4th, 2021, on Mondays and Fridays, we'll be covering the remaining 17 series, starting with the first series of the hit entertainment era. I mean, surely it can't be as awful as people say it is. Right?
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, everyone.